All right. Hey, we're going away. I mean, no, we're not going away. All right. Hopefully, everybody can see me and, or not see me, but see this and hear this. But we're here, and looks like a couple of people are starting to come in, which is awesome. But in case you are confused and you don't know who I am, my name is Antonio Bryce. I am the creator of the comic book series brand. It is on Indiegogo, and we have raised over $68,000 thanks to the kindness of good folk such as yourself. Now, I have another comic creator here. He has a book called Guardians of Erloth. Uh, Ladies and gentlemen, Chael Roberts, how are you, sir?
I'm doing wonderful. Thanks for having me on.
All right. Well, you actually followed instructions, which a lot of people do not. I always get this where people are asking, they were like, Antonio, you didn't have such and such on. And I was like, such and such never has asked me to be on my platform. I've not gotten a single message from, anyone that I haven't, booked, so certain people I go out and I ask them to come on. And then others, I have fans or backers saying, hey, put this person on. If that person, if they have a book and they don't, if they don't ask me to come on, then they won't be on. I generally don't chase guests. So
Right. Well,
that is,
I'm former military, so I'm easy to direct.
well, there you go. I mean, you have to at least ask me to come on.
Right.
So I would say if you don't ask me to come on, then that's why. That's why you haven't been on the channel. Because if you haven't sent me a message and asked, then yeah, I'm not, like I say, I'm not chasing anyone down because I'm too busy doing my own stuff. But if you send me a message and I think your book looks okay, then that is what it is. So, but
Awesome. My book looks okay then.
your book does look okay. It looks fantastic. And I know I saw this book last year. I know you were trying to have it funded then,
Yes.
and you didn't quite meet your goal. But I saw that you had managed to get some books printed
I
and
did.
send them out to people.
I did. I had 55 backers, awesome backers. I had, I've been on a couple channels like Edwin and John Malin had me on a couple times, and Larry Higgins with Niobe had me on. So I was able to raise, a little under $1,200, which helped a lot to finish the book.
Well, that is fantastic. That is good because um, tell me first of all, how did you come up with this? Because your book looks like you got like some kind of medieval type situation. It's like I see looks like knights and stuff like that going on, and uh, very interesting protagonist who happens to have. Looks like you have some Negroes in your book.
Yeah. So yeah, this story actually came out of another story. I was in the military, I had said previously, and I started writing just because I was on a ship and out at sea a lot and needed something to keep me, out of trouble and focused in my off hours. But I started writing this novel, and a couple of years ago, as a writer, you go back and you'll know this. You rewrite stuff, you reread stuff, and it's kind of like, oh, this is kind of bland. You need to add more to it. So, in this story, these characters come from this faraway land, and I wanted them to be exotic, different, kind of a mix of India, Africa, and the Amazon. And I started writing just wrote these characters in, and started thinking last year when this whole comics thing, Comicsgate, I started learning about this last, I think, May or June, kind of blew up. And I never thought about doing a comic before, but being a fan growing up, I thought, it'd be fun putting some of this as a visual medium. And I had this short story outlined with these characters, and I contacted a artist, Ryan Best, and kind of went from there and kind of just expanded. So originally these weren't even my main characters or my main focus, but it's turned into something that's been kind of fun for me.
Okay. Well, tell me more about your artist, because I like his style, actually. So,
Yep, Ryan Best. He has done work for Zenescope. He did Cinderella, Age of Darkness, a couple issues of that. He just came out with a new book. I think it's a trilogy on. You can find it on Comixology, called The Judas Breed, and I believe he might be a co-creator, but I know he's an artist on that and colors. That's was a 3-part series, and then he's done a couple other small indie projects like mine.
okay. Well, because I actually want to do the screen share. Let me see. I want to actually show people your campaign, and we can kind of, because I've got the link to Guardians of Erloth in the description there. And let's actually show your book and let people have a look-see at it.
Sure.
Hopefully, you can get another backer or two.
Yeah, and this time around, I learned my lesson. The book was done. I set the lowest possible to keep it in demand so that we could spread the word and build up momentum for volume 2.
Well, the good thing is you're actually funded. I see you had the low 500 goal, and you are funded now. So you'll automatically go into store mode, but you're live now. And this is one thing I would tell a lot of indie creators. Obviously, you want to be able to go into store mode, because you can. I've managed to raise about another 30 some odd $1,000 in store mode that I would not have been able to if we hadn't actually gotten funded. But I would say that when your campaign is live like it is now, you need to take advantage of that. This is because Indiegogo pushes books that are in demand differently than they push books that are live and not in store mode. So this is your best chance right now to get these new eyes in front of it.
Right.
And let me see here. Okay, so one thing I notice is, I don't know, it almost is set up. I see a lot of Kickstarters that are set up the way you have this campaign set up, where where you've got the big graphics and all this, but you've got 2 covers, Keith Hinman and then some guy that I've never heard of named Kanan White. See, you've got a cover. So you've got a Kanan cover and Keith Hinman. And then here's some of your interior pages. And they look. Now who is Keith Hinman? Because he's not your interior artist, right? Or no?
No, Ryan Best's interior. Keith Hinman I found also online, and I looked. He had samples on. I don't remember which website it was, but he had samples of his art, and I liked it, and got a hold of him, and he drew a couple things for me, and ended up being, really good. So.
Okay, tell me about this here, where you was a Varanus the Destroyer, and then you've got what's that, Caius or Caius?
Caius, yeah. So the main of this, I initially planned for 4-part book. The first book's this one, 24 pages. But the main protagonist, is Caius right there. In this first book, will basically kind of lay the foundation for the story. It kind of goes back in time, and I wanted to keep it simple, but that's why it's 24 pages and not longer. It was my first book. Didn't know what I was doing. Kind of still am learning a lot. Always will be learning a lot. And then Varanus on the other side, the Destroyer is going to be the main antagonist. He's definitely the main antagonist in the first book, and he will be popping up throughout the series, causing mayhem.
Okay, so that's all the art. Let's actually go up to your perks here, and let's see. All right, so you've got the different tier levels. I see you got Knight, Thief, Warrior, Rogue, Mage, Guardian. All right, so that's all of them. So let's actually go tonight. And this looks like, let's see here. It says signed physical copies, cover A, cover B, and a 6x9 art print.
Yes.
Okay, so you would get both the regular cover and Kanan's cover with that perk, and it's only $20. And I don't know what you're charging for your shipping.
$4.
Oh wow. Okay.
Yep, they'll be shipped in Gemini. I use ShipStation. They'll be shipped through Gemini with Gemini.
Yeah, I'm definitely doing Gemini mailers as well. Let's see here. The Thief, that's a digital copy, and it's $5 whole. $5. And then you probably be able to fulfill some of these rather early, or are you having to print more books, or what are you doing?
Yeah, so I have books printed from the first run. I just went and got like 500 printed. I only sent out, 55 for a military tier I had before, and I think it was 62 or 3 for the first campaign for backers. So I have some left over, and I will have to print the new Kanan cover. So that's why the August is the fulfillment date, just to give myself enough time to get those to the printer after this ends.
Okay. Who did you do your printing with?
I did through Printivity. It was called like MDX something, MDX on demand printing or something. They changed their name recently. They're out of San Diego, and I believe they have one in New Jersey as well.
Because that's one of the things, I got another page of brand from Kanan yesterday right before the auction. And so we're getting near the end. That's one thing, as I've gotten these letters from backers and stuff, and I'm trying to make sure that they understand. I was like, even when we get done, if we do like print ninja and stuff, it's going to take 6 to 8 weeks. It's not going to, the books aren't going to just automatically come here and stuff. I wish that was the case, but it doesn't quite work like that. And, I need, I've seen some US printers, and, sometimes I'm trying to see if there's a faster option, because I would like to get the books printed, hopefully, only 2 or 3 weeks, and then they ship them to me, and then we can start getting everything, signed and shipped out. That's the hope, but it doesn't seem to work like that. So it's unfortunate, but
I looked at Print Ninja, but that's, first of all, the printing in the US kind of, I like when you pay a little bit more, I understand, but it's easier if anything goes wrong to deal with mess ups.
Yeah,
I was scared, and mine wasn't even I can't imagine what people with bigger campaigns with like that sell thousands of copies, they take a bigger chance when they're overseas. And it could mean the future, like losing backers, if things get held up.
Yeah, trust me. Let me see. Okay, so you got the Warrior, which is just your cover A for 10, or you've got the Rogue, which is Kanan's cover, and that is 10 as well. And they both come with a 6x9 art print.
Yes, Kanan's cover.
And then you've got the Mage, and let's see, cover A and cover B, the 6x9 art print, 11x17 Varanus poster, which let me go back up to that because I showed that. Where did I see? There it is. There's the 11x17 of Varanus, and that's a nice size poster. I like that. $30, and then the shipping on it, of course, and then your final tier, signed physical copy. This is Guardian, signed physical copies. So 2 of cover A, 2 of cover B, 6x9 art print, 11x17 Varanus poster, and the 5x7 art print. Now hold up. Now that was up there as well, wasn't it?
Yeah, I showed a bigger version of it. It's that Caius.
Here it is. Okay, so
the first campaign I did, he was the 11x17 poster, and I wanted to make something because I have a lot of backers that back this one as well.
Oh, they came back. That's good.
Yeah.
It does say something that even though you didn't get funded, that you were able to, get the thing out there. So that's
yeah. It's not a good business model, but I ended up paying for it out of pocket because I wanted to get. I mean, I believe in the story, and I love the art. I love my artist, and I haven't heard one complaint yet. People enjoy the art and enjoy the story. So.
So let me see here. So Perth Comics says American only, second printing. Okay, good luck. Bye. I don't know what that means, Perth Comics. So
I'm not sure what that means.
Yeah. I'm not. I'm not sure. Perhaps you came in at the tail end of something and you're not sure. But of course, you can clarify if you are still with us here in the chat what you meant, and we can probably address it there. Let me see here. So let's see. A new disguise, never a mod when you need one. A new disguise. The link to the book is right there in the description if that is what you are referring to. But let me help you out. Let me see. Can I just drop that in there? And let me see. I will drop the link in there. If you don't want to scroll to the description and click on it, but I will.
All right.
Let me just, I understand. In these modern ages, who would want to go to the description and actually click on it? So, let's see here. But there is the actual link to Guardians of Erloth. I just put it. Let's see. Touch of Chaos. Can I still back Brand? Yes, Brand is still open. It is open while we are drafting the pages. So yes, it is still open. And then, but I'm glad to say that we are nearly done. So it has been a journey. It's a process getting, the page. But one thing is, and I'm not sure we're going to do this on the next campaign. Kanan has been the traditional pages have taken, it's different to do the traditional pages that Kanan has gotten so used to doing digital, but
right.
It is, but I will say all the traditional pages that he's shown me have been fantastic, which there are 5 of them now. I think we sold 12. So we've got more to go. So but he's got layouts for the next 5 pages, so I'm very excited. And we will have this done. And then I think he's saying that maybe on the next campaign he wants to do like little small commissions instead of actually doing original art pages. I think he's just very comfortable doing the digital. So, but he is a trooper and he is going to obviously fulfill our obligations to our backers. So let me see here. Felix Haas says no international shipping. Tell me about that, Mr. Roberts.
No, so I didn't have much international interest before. I had, I think, 1 or 2 people email me that were from Canada. And so this time around, I offered the digital. And I've heard, from multiple sources that international can be a huge headache and can be quite expensive. So I'm not opposed to it, but I'd have to charge, it would be, I've heard it's like $25 to ship to Europe. And
now, okay, so let me address that, because I think that's one of the problems that I'm going to have to deal with. But if I was a little naive when I set my campaign up, and then I started hearing horror stories from like Mike S. Miller and Doug TeNapel about how much the international shipping actually costs. And I was like, oh my, that is not good. So I will obviously make some adjustments when we launch Brand Way of the Gun. Let's see.
Yeah, it sounds like he's interested, and if that's something that he wants to back this, we can make that happen. I have to do a little bit more research, so I just have to do more research before I offer to people, because I've heard shipping you can really get nailed on, and I know it's a 24-page book. But if what tier do you want to back? Do you just want to back and get the book in the print, or are you looking at both covers?
Well, yeah, and that's something. When Mike's telling me, that he's shipping a copy, like Lone Star was, I think Lone Star altogether was like 60 some odd, with all, because he had like a little back page thing and stuff. He had some extra stories from other properties that he was working on and stuff. So I know when he's talking about, oh, I had to ship this to it was $20 or whatever and all this, and I was like, because I know I've got like 80 orders just in Australia, and it's scary, that I'm sitting there going, oh boy. But I've looked at my print costs, and I should be able to still swing it, but it's a concern for the next campaign.
Right.
So I think the next campaign I will handle international a little different, but much like your boy Zach, I need to be more informed about what I am doing and
right.
Fortunately, the majority, I think, my actual Indiegogo breakdowns on my backers is 73% of them are US. So, I tried to do what Ethan Van Sciver did and, just charge everybody the exact same amount, because I figured it would, the cheaper US shipping would balance out some of the more, where I get kind of taken on the back end for the international. But I'll see once, and obviously I'll have to pay more taxes and do all that kind of stuff, and we'll see where we go from there, because obviously we're going to launch another book, and it's going to be a bigger campaign, because I've got like 5 different variants and all this kind of stuff. So because I've got variants from Elliot Fernandez, I've got a Matthew Weldon variant, and I've got Kanan's cover, and then I've got 2 pretty big surprises that I'm not prepared to announce yet, but I've got confirmation from 2 artists that are planning on doing covers for Brand Way of the Gun. But
awesome.
Like I said, it's going to be a bigger campaign. I don't know if we're going to order or we're going to do the t-shirts like I did. I did t-shirts. I've taken all that stuff down, because I started once I started hearing about some of the nightmares and stuff, some of the internet, and I've got like 40 people that ordered shirts that are not in the US, and I got to ship all this stuff, and I was like, oh boy, here we go. So,
Brand's 48 pages, right?
It is indeed. It
awesome.
is.
I'm a backer, so.
Well, I thank you for backing. That is, but that is another thing. The preview is about to come out. I've just got to get. I don't know. I think I've edited and re-edited, but then I've actually got an editor, young lady by the name of Amanda Lamella. Some of you may see her. She's a mod on this channel. She's a mod on like Doug to Naples channel as well. Lightning fan. So yeah, she is going to help me edit my monster of a book, and but I'm preparing the file to send to her to edit, because I sent her a message the other day and I was like, yeah, I've got most of it where I'm comfortable with it, and about to send it to you to edit, and then my font person tells me that he should be able to knock that out in a few days once he actually gets the finalized script for the 20, because I'm very happy with where the page 21 leaves us. I think it leaves, people were telling me that, it's like, I don't want to read it. I don't want spoilers and everything. And I was very careful about the way that I wrote the first half of the book. It more introduces our cast of characters as opposed to get into anything major. So anything that you're concerned about getting spoiled, a lot of the action happens after page 21. It's more because we've got 3 different stories in place. So I'm introducing the Covenant, I'm introducing Dawn and Fame and all those characters, and then I'm introducing David and Melissa. So I'm introducing those 3 stories, and then 21 happens, and then we go, so you'll basically just get introduced, and you'll see some pretty breathtaking art from Kanan White, and that has been masterfully colored by Kid Icarus.
Awesome.
So yeah, it's an adventure, but
I'm a sucker for redheads, man, so I can't wait.
well, that now I've had a lot of people ask me about that, and Dawn is a redhead because I don't know why, but I have a thing for redheads, and I've had some very volatile relationships with some redheaded young ladies. But I had a crush on Angie Everhart for a long time. She was a fashion model and all this kind of stuff. So Angie Everhart was like a woman crush of mine. I mean, hell, I remember when she was dating Howard Stern after he got divorced and all this kind of stuff. So she dated Howard for a little while, and it was crazy. So that's why David's home is actually called Everhart. I named David's home Everhart after Angie Everhart, and obviously she's a very beautiful redhead. And so Dawn is a very beautiful redhead. So those are little throwbacks to that. So that's, I get that question all the time.
My wife's a redhead, so she's probably rolling her eyes right now listening to this. So,
well, I'm just saying, I do love redheads, but it's like
they can be fiery.
Yeah, well, I actually did an episode of my podcast, Sexy Party, where I talked about getting punched in the face while I was,
Oh, I missed that one.
And that was, I think the episode is called Throat Punch. And
nice. You know what? I saw that was a couple weeks ago, wasn't
it? It was.
Okay.
And I talked about, falling asleep and getting punched. And that young lady, it was.
You got punched in the throat?
Yeah, it was like, I got punched in the face, but it just seemed, I got punched. It's not good. But throat punch sounded more visceral. But so I don't know. I get a lot of crazy emails when we do Sexy Party, so it's always interesting. But this upcoming episode, I'm sure, will be very entertaining. If anyone caught the last episode, that so you actually,
I was driving listening to it after work, and I just about drove off the road because I think it was the part, and her name's Anna, right? Your co-host. Yes. Okay, so you were talking about your brother. That had me rolling, dude.
Yeah, well, if you are familiar with that particular episode, she made a request of me, and she wanted to, we were talking about things, and she made a request, and we.
Oh
okay.
Yeah.
So okay. I don't want to. That's what I'm saying. If I'm gonna leave the Sexy Party, but she make a request.
You Brett Favre her.
Yeah. Well. Oh, I forgot he did that. Yes. Yeah. Well. Yeah, Brett. Yeah, I did Brett Favre her. We made an agreement. So, and she is. I know Cecil said that he might be able to come on because he was in the chat when we were having the discussion.
That'll be good.
We are going. I will say the pictures have been exchanged. She sent me her picture, and I sent her the pictures that she asked for. We have done that. I will say I was very pleased with my picture that she sent me.
Nice.
But
is she going to be pleased with her picture? That's the
thing. when I sent her the first picture, she actually laughed, and I was like, yeah, this is it's not going to. But and then
I'm sure she would laugh at most of us, but you know what? It's still
no, it happened much as I suspected it would. Oh boy.
If this were Sexy Party, I'd have questions for you, but I don't want to delve into that. But
no, but
yeah,
we're going to because she wants to do it, because that's one thing we just kind of hop on and we don't have a set schedule, and so we were talking about, she actually wants to try to get on a regular weekly schedule, maybe do some sexy midnight streams or something like that, because she's always up at late at night playing Fortnite. Not Fortnite, Fallout 76. That's what it is.
okay.
I think he pretty much thinks Fallout sucks, if I'm not mistaken. But not Fallout, Fortnite, but yeah, Fallout 76. And she plays that all the time. And matter of fact, she plays it a lot while we're doing Sexy Party, and she's playing Fallout 76. Sometimes you can hear her the clicking of her keypad and stuff sometimes when she's talking, but she'll have like a raccoon in her lap, and
a raccoon.
Yeah, she's got like 5 or 6 raccoons.
Oh,
Yeah,
weird.
yeah. She some of them are like rescues. I know there was one that got hit by a car and it was still alive, and then she like nursed it back to health. Sometimes she can like if they get to a certain place, she can release them back into the wild. Sometimes they become so tame that she just has to. But she loves raccoons, so that's the thing. She has a little spare cash, and she's able to. I mean, sometimes she'll go 2 or 3 states over to pick up a raccoon, which is crazy. I always tell her, I was like, "Why are you raising?" And I was like, and
she's from Tennessee too, I take it.
No,
no.
She lived when I first encountered her. She was living in Yonkers, and she was living.
She sounds like she's from Jersey, actually.
Yeah. But she lived in Yonkers. She lived in Jersey for like about 2 years, I think she said, 1.5 years. But she lived in Yonkers when I met her a decade ago. So we were playing a game called Rage of Bahamut on. It was a mobile card game. You build the cards up and make them strong, and then we would battle each other and stuff. And I love that game, and I was the clan leader of a weirdo band of brothers that I named Deicide. And so we were Deicide, and then you could pick, did you want to be man, demon, or a god? So I was man class, and she was demon class. And it was but she was, I don't know, I took to her right away. She was, I don't know, I always thought, and she knows this. It was like, because I always thought she and I would have gotten married if we had been closer to each other, because it just seemed like, although even when we fight, it's like a marriage, because it was so funny when we would be, we'd set up our private chat for our group, and people would just start laughing. It's like, man, you two is like a married couple and stuff. And I mean, we used to talk to each other all the time, and it's just, it was like, she's talked about she's been into women and stuff, so she's kind of, she's been with men, she's been with women, just the whole thing. We just have a lot in common. I don't know, but she's a nut job. But I love Anna. I really do. It's like, and she always talks me into doing the craziest shit. But I've been in a few situations where it was bad, and and just
makes you a willing participant.
Yes, and we played Clash of Clans together too, and she was way stronger than me in Clash of Clans. Although my account, which I need to go and check on my account, I haven't played in like a year, but I know she kind of walked away from it too. But she was way stronger, and I was like, damn, just trying. I think I'm on like level 63 or 73 or something now, but it just, I just got bored with Clash of Clans. Trying to run a clan, and then I joined other people's clan, and I didn't get along with them and stuff, and I was just okay. This is
It's been a couple of years since I played that game, but so she pretty much took care of you. She was stronger, and
yeah. She's awesome though. And she would give me like a real, somebody would attack me, and you have your
revenge
reserve for your troop, for like when your clan like donates troops to you and stuff. And she was like, "Hey, I've got a dragon in here if you want." And she cooked me up like a real strong dragon, and I'll throw it in there for her. So it would be like, pow, and it would be beautiful. So that dragon would start ripping stuff up, especially when you get like a higher level dragon. I would love it, and set your traps up and all that. But I liked it. But now I've been trying to get her to play. Let's see. I've been trying to get her to play Game of Thrones Conquest, and
how's that game? That keeps popping up on my phone.
Oh my God! I will be honest with you. If you're not prepared to spend a little money, I would not bother.
Pay to play. Most of those are. But.
Because I've seen some people's like, I bought a card pack like 3 months ago, and I haven't spent any money since then. And I'm like, yeah, and I'm looking at your levels and stuff. It's just way slower to progress in the game if you don't do certain things, because we've got people that's got like 53 million attack, and those people admit that they've spent a couple $1,000s to build the account. My attack is only, I think I'm at like 2.7 million. And so, so to get to that where I've got a couple people in my alliance where they're like 20 million. They're like 20 million attack and stuff. And they admit that they spent a couple $1,000 to get to that, because it's not cheap. So when I buy card packs, they have these sales. Sometimes they have like hey, if you buy this, we'll give you extra bonus gold. And whenever I see those, I'll be like, hey, I'm gonna drop $20.
Oh no, Antonio, we know where brand money's going. Somebody take his phone.
Oh man,
we want brand too.
Well, I want brand 2 as well. There's a lot of stuff going on with because I'm actually very excited to not only finish this first part, but then to get ready to launch Way of the Gun. So later this year, when we launch Way of the Gun, which it's been crazy to think. I really did not understand how much work went into creating these pages and all that kind of stuff, but obviously I have more of an education now, and very grateful to all the people that have been that have backed, and appreciate the patience, even appreciate the salty ones, because I've gotten some ugly letters, but I've gotten some ugly letters even after they's like, hey, I read your backer report or whatever, I read your update, but here's my problem, and such as a. And I would say, if you back brand and you are unhappy, I would always just say, let me know, and I will send you your money back. I have always honored every refund request. So that is something, I talked to Richard C. Meyer, your boy Zach, and he was like, yeah, he said, I've pretty much honored every refund request, except he just said that he had one like 3 months after he shipped the book, and then someone decided, he said the one guy said he said something on a stream or something that he didn't like, he asked for his money back. And I'm like, it's 3 months later and you've gotten the book.
Yeah.
I was like, yeah. And I understand. I wouldn't refund that either. I'm just being honest. So, because I've had people that, I've noticed some people can be a little flaky, and I remember last year I was on Ethan Van Skyver's channel, and we were all having a discussion. It was when the Vox Day stuff happened.
Yeah.
And someone, Ethan asked me my thoughts, and I was honest. And I definitely, because I know I'm not in a hate movement. I never joined the hate movement. If I felt like Comicsgate was a hate movement, I would not be involved.
Right.
That's just me. And so, I was very honest about that, and I was like, I just didn't want to be associated. And people were like, "You're an SJW, Antonio." And I was like,
What?
and yeah, it was that kind of thing. And I was just like, okay. So, and then all of a sudden I started seeing one of the people, contacted me, and he refunded his book, and he had actually spent some money. He had bought one of the sketch covers that Kanan's doing. So it was, I was like, okay. But if I had it to do all over again, I'm always going to be honest. If I'm asked my opinion on something, I'm always going to be honest about it. So
right. I'd rather SJWs aren't. That's the thing. They're not honest. You're not gonna you're not gonna get an honest answer from them. You're gonna get they're gonna virtue signal. So
yeah. I was just like, I'd rather let anyone that listens to this channel and listens to, they know what I'm about. I'm about, I try to keep it positive. I try not to go after people. But I do, if I see problems, I do want to talk about some of the issues I see in comics and movies and television now, because I see it just seems to, video I did the other day, it seemed like people were having different discussions with me on Twitter and on the YouTube channel about, the writer from Gizmodo saying that Falcon and the Winter Soldier, they should address racism and like social justice issues and stuff. So it needs to be woke, and I'm like, no, it needs to be cool. That's what it needs to be. It's
right. Yeah.
You got a guy that wears a suit where he can fly, and you got another guy that's like 70 some odd years old, and he's got one arm and replaced by a cybernetic arm, and and he's killed dozens and dozens of people, and that's interesting to me. I don't want to hear about I just got to be honest. People that don't actually read comics and stuff like that, they always try to insert this nonsense into the stories, and then they don't sell. And because the audience doesn't want to purchase these products, then they go, "Oh, you guys are bigots and homophobes."
Yeah. And I'm glad that's why mine takes place in a fake fantasy world. I don't have to tackle those issues. I can just entertain.
So you're telling me that your character Caius is not like on his horse sometime, and then your antagonist like pulls him over and go, "What are you doing out here, boy?" Because that would be hilarious. I need him to get like pulled over on his horse. And,
Well, the antagonist is a lizard, so I mean, he'd probably eat the horse, and I don't know.
You could use that as it's like, hey, I need to talk about race. So have him get pulled over on his horse. He could be leading the caravan and stuff, and someone's like, "Why are you doing this to him? Please," just
could have some mushrooms. You'd have to throw them. Like, they're not mine.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. That would be hilarious.
Someone gave them to me. I didn't know they were in there.
Oh, that would be hilarious. That would be hilarious. I would very much. That would be something I'd be interested in reading.
Magic mushrooms.
I was like, officer, this is not mine. I don't know what you're talking about. These don't belong to me. But I don't know. People forget what comics books are supposed to be, and I remember when Ethan first started explaining what he thought, because I was in Comicsgate before Ethan was in Comicsgate. I was in Comicsgate, like 2 years ago.
Right.
Like I was, and Ethan was like CG friendly, but he wasn't CG. He was still working at DC, the whole deal. So, it's just, but he did. That's one thing I liked about Ethan. He just didn't, he respected those customers because he knew he was like, my contract with DC is coming up in a couple months. I'd like to go back to Cyberfrog. I've been wanting to finish that story and maybe relaunch it. And, I see some of the problems that I see people like Richard C. Meyer and, Doug Ernst and Captain Cummings. He said, I see what they're talking about. You know, he's like, I honestly believe that, you know, when a person opens up a comic book, whether they be 8 or 80, that they should be able to escape from, there's enough problems in the real world.
Right.
And you should be able to just go, oh, let's see what Spider-Man's doing. Oh, wait a minute, Spider-Man's new neighbor is trans. Yeah, okay. And it was just that kind of thing. It's just like they insert all this stuff into modern comics that just has no place there. Oh, Bobby is going out on a date with a guy after he'd been going out on dates with women for over 50 years. You know, it's just that it's just, oh, he just figured it out. Okay. That's I'm sitting on, you guys are just inserting this stuff into the comics, and then they don't sell. And you're like, oh, well, it was so funny. What was it, 2017? I remember one of the Marvel's vice presidents of sales or something. He was at one of the big conferences, and he admitted that, you know, their little experiment was not working the way that, you know, because DC, it had been like the first time that DC was able to like surpass them in sales. And they had noticed they had dropped like what 40-50% in sales, and they were like, oh, maybe we made a mistake. But then he was quickly sent to the re-education camp and had to he had to come back out and say, well, I misspoke and such, you know, all in these books aren't going anywhere. You know, it's that kind of thing. So I noticed that if you're honest, you know, if you're actually honest, and you go, okay, we were trying, you know, obviously I have a diverse cast. If anyone has seen any of the preview pages that I've shown,
yeah,
I've got my villain is a white guy who is actually an African prince. Yeah, so it's
he's from South Africa, I take it.
No, he was born in the U.S. He was born in Connecticut, but his father and Akala's father were, you know, they were kind of groomed at the same time. And, you know, the Covenant is an international organization, and obviously they both belong to the Covenant. And Lionel's father was killed in a plane crash when he was 8 years old. And then Akala's father, Ermaeus, decided, you know, hey, I've got to watch out for this kid, you know, because I feel like you know, if it had been reversed and I had died, he would watch after my son.
Gotcha.
So, you know, so he adopted Lionel as his son, and he was a king. And so, yeah, so Lionel became a prince of the royal family, and then his brother Akala actually became the king. So when his father died, that's why I've got that, you know. So I've got a white guy that's an African prince, and you know, so I've got you know, and then he's got, you know, like his girlfriend's Chinese, and her twin sister, you know, is his head of security, and then, you know, so I've got the whole cast of characters. You know, I've got a lot of international flavor in brand.
Sounds like fun, man.
I would hope so. You know, but at the same point in time, I think maybe that's why I keep changing and rewriting things. I was like, maybe that's not coming across the right way or whatever. I'm trying to make sure. I think I need to just walk away from it, because I've got, you know, like I said, I know the story I'm trying to tell, but, you know, I want every word to be perfect, and, you know, and Kanan's art, you know, and I was like, oh man, this looks beautiful. And, you know, just some of the pages that have been shown, and then other pages we haven't shown, or maybe we've just shown a panel of it or something, you know, so there's a lot going on. And, but I look forward to being able to do this. I think, you know, being able to create a comic and, you know, have it being read by thousands of people, is thrilling to me, and that's one thing I'm very much looking forward to, the letting, because we're releasing the preview to readers and non or backers and non-backers alike. So
Right.
anybody that you know has been on the fence about it or whatever, they'll be able to read it and it'll be there. So I'm
Yeah, I came across it the first time your last Kickstarter campaign, and this must have been like last May or something.
Oh yeah, okay. So you were part of the old bombed failed. Yeah, so yeah.
Yeah, I mean, I remember when you were coming on EVS's stream, and I remember seeing you in the chat, and I actually reached out to you on Kickstarter because this was about the same time I started looking to see where I should launch this one, and I came across it. I think you had raised like $90 or something. I actually like messaged you on there, and I was like, hey, I want to back your book. I got to wait till next payday, but that type of thing. But
Yeah.
then you launched it on Indiegogo last August, or end of last summer.
Well, yeah. So okay, so yeah, so the Kickstarter campaign was my second campaign, because the first time I launched it, uh, and I'm curious how it would have gone if everything had worked out the way I had planned, because Kanan was not available.
Okay.
So I reached out to Shelby Robertson, who had been one of Rob Liefeld's old anchors. And so I reached out to him, and then I reached out to Chuck Dixon, and I asked Chuck Dixon, I say, I've got a story I want to write. And I was like, I know I'm not a professional writer. I've never, I know I can write some, but I've never written a comic book. So I would very much like for you to take my story and turn it into a comic book script. And then Chuck told me how much his page rate was and all that. And obviously, someone like Chuck Dixon is not cheap.
Right.
And so, but I was like, he has name recognition. So hopefully, with a name like Chuck Dixon and Shelby Robertson, someone else who, has published credits 25 plus years in the business, he's connected to Rob Liefeld, all that. One of the old, he was at Old Image, when Rob was still in, when everything, right, because Rob hired him when he was 17 years old.
Was that? Did he do Evermore and Evermore? Is that his book?
I'm not sure, because he did. What's the guy that Glenn Danzig has a horror comic? He's created a comic book company, and Shelby left Extreme Studios and did some stuff over there. He did a bunch of horror comics and stuff. I was like, Shelby's got so many different credits, at least as a cover artist, or just different, so he did so many things. Actually, I would love to stream with him, because he told me he was actually in the room when Rob Liefeld got the phone call from Alan Moore about coming over to Image to do what ended up being a Eisner winning run on Supreme. So he was actually in, Rob had him on speakerphone, and Shelby was in the office with him for a meeting, and Alan Moore called. And what you find out from the story that Shelby told me was that this was because a lot of people was like, oh, it's an homage to Superman. It was actually a Superman story, turns out, according to Shelby. It was Alan thought Supreme was stupid. And he was very honest with Rob. He was like, I'm not taking this, and he said, actually, Alan Moore's kind of said this on certain interviews that he's done, where he was like, hey, if I come over and do Supreme, we got to make some changes. This book is it's stupid, because Rob had pretty much ripped off every. Supreme was Superman. His character Glory was Wonder Woman. He had fake Lobo, fake Wolverine, fake. He's like, everybody was a ripoff of somebody else. But Supreme was definitely a ripoff of Superman. And Alan Moore had turned this script in, a little script treatment to DC Comics, and I can't remember who the publisher was at that time at DC, but and he turned it into him, and he was like, "I've got this idea for I guess it was like a mini series that he wanted to do for Superman. It probably would have been like an All-Star Superman before All-Star Superman came out. So it would have been, if it had actually gotten greenlit by DC Comics, then what we saw in the run that Alan Moore did on Supreme, which that is some of the best Superman ever written, but it's Supreme. So it's like that. Alan Moore's run on Supreme is some of the best Superman that has ever been written, and that's
the
high
best non-Superman.
But I mean, it was Superman, and like I said, it was a
Yeah.
DC script. It was turned in. It was meant to be a Superman story. They came back to Alan and they told him that they didn't think it was going to work. The story that he was telling, it didn't work for what they were trying to do. And so Alan wanted to write the story, and he was a little bummed out. So he called Rob, and he reached out to Rob, and Rob always sees dollar signs. He was like, Alan Moore at Image? I wonder if that would sell. And like I said, he won an Eisner. Or when Eisner's actually used to mean something, he won an Eisner for that run on. And his that Supreme was incredible. It was incredibly well written. It was, and like I said, it's a love letter to Superman. It's a love letter to Superman, but it's just got the character Supreme standing in for Superman. But Shelby told me it was rather funny hearing him tell me about hearing Alan Moore like swearing on the phone with Rob, and it was just because Rob's kind of plain spoken too, so it was like, but he's got the English accent, and it's like these bloody blah blah blah, and all this kind of stuff, and it just sounded kind of funny the way Shelby was describing this. But I would love to have him on. I would love to, probably should reach out to him. I've got his phone number. I should reach out to him. But Shelby did 2 campaigns with me. Bless him. I did a 60-day campaign on Indiegogo and, raised $95. I talked to Shelby again. I said, okay, we failed.
Right.
I think
you would be surprised that the name recognition wouldn't boost, the campaign. And I understand there's been guys, usually those guys jump on Kickstarter and make a lot of money, whether they fulfill or not, maybe a different call,
Well, yeah,
question.
and that's another thing. But like, so even with the first Indiegogo, so I had Shelby. I said, okay, so if I got Shelby and Chuck Dixon, I mean, both of these guys got Wikipedia pages. So Shelby's got a Wikipedia page. Chuck Dixon obviously has a Wikipedia page, has a lot of big comic credits under his belt. And right before I launched, I sent because Chuck was like, hey, before you do anything, don't launch anything without letting me see it first. I said, okay. I set the campaign up. I was like, brand by Chuck Dixon and Shelby Robertson. Bam. Set everything up, set my perks up. I was asking for like 30 grand because I would have had to raise that much to pay Shelby and Chuck and my color, because I was like, this is, and pay for the printing, because I was like, okay, and then I was like, I'll sign stuff, but I was like, I asked Chuck because I said, hey, people are asking me about, would you be able to sign some of the books? And he said, I could probably sign some, but he said, you're in Tennessee, I'm in Florida, Shelby's in Arizona. It was like everybody's all over the place. So, because that was one of the things I talked to Shelby about. He was like, well, yeah, I guess you could ship me some books and then I could sign it. And I was like, oh, that's going to cost money to ship X amount of books over here and then have him ship them back. And I was like, everything, it became a process. And I sent a preview of the Indiegogo to Chuck Dixon. He looked at it and, gave me a couple of pointers. And I started making the changes. And then a couple of days later, he was just like, he's like, I'm looking at my schedule, and he said, I don't think I can commit to this. And I was like, oh no.
Oh wow.
And then he was like, he said, but he said, I will tell you this. It sounds like you know the story you're trying to tell. He said, it sounds like you have it pretty well fleshed out. He said, maybe 90, 95%. He said, I would either write it yourself or you can get another writer to come in and help you tweak it a little bit. He said, he said, just based on everything, the character descriptions you gave me, the plots, he said, it sounds like you know the story you're trying to tell. And when I hired Chuck, my girlfriend, fiance at the time, she was a little upset with me, not because she didn't understand how big a deal it was to have Chuck Dixon on my comic. She said, you told me you were going to write it yourself. And I was like, well, I was, but it, I was trying to write it, and I thought everything that I wrote just seemed like it was bad, and she was like, but you did tell me you were going to write it yourself. I wanted to hear from you. I wanted to hear your voice. And at that point, I said, okay, I'm the writer. I'm so glad that whether, even though she and I are not together anymore, I'm so glad I listened. Because when I gave Kanan the script and he started reading, and he was like, man, this is such a unique story. And he's like, I'm getting, he said, I really like the way you describe the panels and everything. It's like, because I'm telling him certain things. I was like, this is going on right now. And, it's like, I went over it with Elliot Fernandez the other night, and he was like, it almost sounded like a movie script. It doesn't sound like a comic book script. It's more of a movie script. And,
is there a lot of dialogue, or do you set the scene? Like, I'm not sure which method you use or how you write your scripts.
Well, I used the Marvel method where it's a plot script, but my plot script is probably one thing Elliot said is like, I put probably too much detail in the plot script. He was like, because I've seen some of like the Bear Stan Lee type scripts.
Yeah.
And they just like, hey, this is what's going on, this many panels, blah, blah, blah. And I'm like, no. I was like, okay. So Dawn's been on the run for like 2 years. And so when we open up this first page, I want to see that pain in her voice. I want to see, that she's kind of, show her clothes a little tattered. She's a runaway. But she doesn't have much. She doesn't keep a lot of items because she never knows when she's gonna have to pick up and go somewhere else. And and this is the type of stuff that I'm writing when I'm setting the tone. And then it comes to Kanan, and he creates this beautiful page, and it was better than, because I even told him one of the things I wrote in the script for page 1 is I was like, I want it to be like Bill Bixby, at the end of The Incredible Hulk when he's hitchhiking on the road and you've got the sad music playing and all.
Oh yeah.
I was like, I want it to be a shot of her from the back, which obviously Kanan did that. He created exactly what I asked for, but then he added a nice overhead shot. It just worked. It was so perfect that there was no need for any dialogue on the page. I was like, this page sets a tone, so anything that I was going to put there is irrelevant. I don't need, you see the beautiful, you see the mountain, like the little cliffs in the background. You see that nice, the way the tone, I was just, man, everything just worked out even better than what I thought it was going to. And Kanan, like I said, we went over character designs because I was like, hey, I want to see what these characters are going to look like. I wish I had an issue a few months ago where I had a bunch of my videos get removed, and we had some very valuable streams on there where like the character Wither, we created her on the air. It's like, and it was the stream was several hours, and Kanan and I talked about my ideas, and he actually created that right on the air for us. So it was an amazing experience. So it really I was hoping, although I have a YouTube rep and she's been trying to get me my stuff back. So who knows? One day I might get all my videos back, which I really hope does happen. But I've just, kept it moving, and the channels continue to grow just because you have to keep making videos. You have to keep streaming and making content. So there you go.
Isn't it cool how you write a script and you give it to your artist and he comes back with something that kind of triggers more creativity, and you kind of maybe change the direction of your story a little bit, add more to it.
There, and that's one thing I will say. I had talked to Doug Tenaple, and he suggested that I do like a director's commentary. So when we get done, there's going to be a director's commentary with me and Kanan. And it's like, hey, it's only $5. And I've had a few people buy it. So it's like they purchased the director's commentary. But that'll be a private stream just for me and Kanan, and I'll send that out to to the backers that back that particular tier. And they'll get to hear my thoughts and Kanan's thoughts on this whole process. And I think it's going to be fun, especially as we go over all 48 pages. So
that'd be fun. What tier will that be?
Well, I mean, it's just like I say, it's up there at the top. It's just a director's commentary add-on. It's just $5.
Gotcha. Okay.
So yeah, if you on my Indiegogo and you look and you see the director's commentary, it's just $5. So, and like I said, I'll send a private link out to those backers, and me and Kanan are going to do the stream, and because I'm not sure when we'll do it though, because I got to fly Kanan out so he can sign the comics. So that was something, that was something else that the backers have. A lot of backers were like, "Is it going to be possible to get Kanan's signature on everything as well?" And I was like, "Kanan lives in Indiana and I live in Tennessee, and got to fly him back and forth and all that." But I talked to his wife, and that was something. She was like, "Yeah, he stays in this house too much, and I want to get him out of here. He needs to go." And I was like, "I need to borrow him for like a week." She was like, "Yeah, that's fine." And so when he comes out, I know one thing we're gonna do is go see Doug Tenaple. That's one of the things we had talked about doing. Doug actually told me, he was like, "Hey, well, Kanan can stay with me for he can stay with me for the week." And I was like, "No," because Doug lives almost an hour away, so it's not practical for me to have Kanan with Doug. I need Kanan, with me, so we can be signing books and stuff every day. We can get everything set up, and it's a process. But fortunately, because so many people have responded to the book, and I've been fortunate enough to have so many people interested in it, and I think when they see the preview, they're either going to really love it or they're going to hate it. So that is the thing about putting a work of fiction such as this, or such as Guardians of Erloth, out there. You're putting it out to the public to be judged, and from what I've seen of your book, it looks really good. It looks like
well, thank you.
It looks good. I'm very happy that you're going to be able to go into store mode now, and that'll be awesome, dude. So.
Yeah, it'll be fun, and hopefully, it's fun. It's a low goal, but the product's already made, and just about printing that alternate or variant cover, and getting it to people, and hopefully they like it. Maybe in the future, we can, fill it in a little bit more with more pages, like a remastered edition or something.
Well, yeah. Well, see, what I really want to do, and I cannot wait. I mean, it'll probably be, because at the rate I talked to Kanan, because Kanan, I actually talked to Ethan the other day because we were talking about, he wants to do Fearsome, and I had to, I talked to him and I was like, "Hey, Kanan's we're doing Way of the Gun first, but then after that, Kanan would be available to do Fearsome." So hopefully Ethan will have his stuff, because I know he's talking about doing like Rainbow Brute or whatever they're going to change it to. Because I heard him saying the other day that for certain copyright issues that they're going to come up with a different name for Rainbow Brute so that he can own the character outright and do multiple volumes and all this kind of stuff.
Gotcha.
Because yeah, if he just keeps it as Rainbow Brute, it's a parody, a one shot, and he couldn't. And then so like, yeah, he'd be protected for under parody laws, but he wouldn't be able to keep doing the book over and over and over again. And sounds like he wants to be able to tell multiple stories with Rainbow Brute. So
okay.
So yeah, he's definitely saying he's going to change the name, but he hasn't fully come up with what he's going to call it yet. I don't think, but I am looking forward to Rainbow Brute. I think it's going to be fun. Just everything he's talked about, and then the other thing he talked about, like the men's terror tales or men's fairy tales, where he's kind of taking like fairy tales, and
turn them into women in fairy tales or women's stories, girl stories.
And, I had an idea, because he was talking about that some of the other CG writers could like maybe contribute like a 10-page story to it. And I had an idea that I had talked about with Kanan that I was thinking about doing. So, it would be very funny for me and Kanan to do like a little 10-page thing here. But either way, salute to Mr. Van Sciver for always, being out there and making sure.
The voice.
Yeah. Hey, I appreciate. No, it's like, I probably said that so much that people get sick of hearing it, but Ethan definitely did not have to help me. And I certainly appreciate everything he did. Whatever happens after this, it's, a lot of that now, he was like, yeah, I helped you, but look how hard you worked. And look at it. I was like, once he opened the door, I just wanted to make sure that it didn't close.
Right. So is your firstborn going to EVS? I'm just joking.
Yeah. Well, I'm kidding. I was like, I don't know. I might have to. I might have to. If I had a son, I might have to name him. Give him one of
Ethan.
Yeah, I was like, all right, I have to throw an Ethan in there somewhere. But
Ethan, Daniel, Antonio.
Yeah.
Right.
So, but I think Ethan knows how much because I text him and a few other things that are just between him and I and everything. It's just private. Just let him know how much I appreciated all the help that he gave me, and because he certainly did not have to help me, and I think him helping me made certain people think, oh, he's gonna he helps, and I was like, no. Because Ethan's busy, it's like the good thing is, Ethan's not always. Sometimes when I send him a message, he doesn't answer right away, but he generally gets back to me, because he's got all these people are like sending him messages and stuff, and it's just the good thing is I can text him, and sometimes he'll text me back, So I was like, hey, let me send Ethan a text. And
another thing is it tells that he likes your story and he likes your art, and that's a huge thing.
Think he likes, if I'm being fair, I think he likes, I don't know if my story appeals to him, but I know when he saw Kanan's Dark Santana, that got him. Because there's an image on the Indiegogo where Dark Santana has Dawn captive with, it's Dark Santana and Horus, and he's got Dawn captive, and he's got her like that, and Ethan said he saw that and it just went off like a light bulb. And he's like, that looks like that could be on the shelf next to like a DC or a Marvel comic. He's like, that the art quality and everything is like, that's one thing I know I have a top 10 talent in Kanan. I know that. And that is,
and he's good.
Kanan's an amazing talent. And I would say I'm very pleased with not only our friendship over the last 3 years, I'm very pleased with that, but just being able to do other opportunities with him, when him coming to me over the last year, and I've noticed he started to come to me more with advice, it's like, hey, what do you think about this? What do you think? It's like, and then finally, couple weeks ago, he was like, "I'd like you to represent me. I'd like you to be my art rep." And so I was very happy to
Awesome.
do that for him, and it's been going well. We've,
Well, now I know who to come to directly when I need another cover.
well, the good thing is that it says on his Twitter, like, if you want art, contact Antonio Bryce at info@akaripress.com. So he's doing that. And some people have emailed him and he's like, "Hey, contact Antonio and we'll get it worked out." Because I'm trying. That's one thing I will say. I can be a little overbearing, but I mean it with love.
You need a woman to ground you, Antonio.
Yeah, I can focus on, and that's something Anna actually said. It's like not being, I noticed that when I was dating, I was still working on brand, but I just wasn't as focused because I was like, well, let me see if I can take her out to dinner and we can go do this. And I thought you were gonna do some pages tonight. Yeah, let me and I it's just you just seem to I'm able to focus more. So, I might still have a date here and there, but not anything long term. I think I've got scripts that I want to write and get everything put out. So I'm looking forward to that. And just getting the book out and then hopefully funding another book and another book and another, or whatever form this takes. So who knows if might come up with a situation where we're not doing crowdfunding anymore and we're just doing like everything's in the stores and we'll let you can go and pay $3.99 and get a copy right there, which would be awesome. But hey, what do you know?
Right.
All right. Well, all right, Mr. Roberts. I certainly appreciate our conversation and
thanks for having me on.
Hey, buddy. Yeah, this is it looks and I think your project looks really cool. And again, the link to Guardians of Erloth is in the description for anyone who might be so inclined to throw a few shekels behind it. That is the only way these projects get out there is just from the grace and the trust of good folks like yourself. Let's see, you're at 530, so it looks like you've gotten a backer or two since this conversation has started. Hopefully, more people as they come back in and watch these. Because I've noticed some people like to watch these at like midnight or whatever. Obviously the stream will be here and they can check it out. But is there anything that you would like to say about your project and how people can reach out to you and stuff before we wrap this one up?
Yeah, so they can reach me on at Chael Roberts on Twitter. I'm on Instagram and trying to actually post more stuff. It's hard, not being an artist to keep posting on Instagram, but I try to find stuff to post. So that's Scribe of Erloth, and then on YouTube at Comics du Nord.
Okay, so one thing I would tell you is to streamline all that.
I know.
That's why it's like if you go, I'm on eBay at Akari Press. You understand everything?
Yep.
I got it. It's like and I get on to Kanan about that all the time. Kanan's got 3-4 different names. He's Cap White here and Cap _this, and I'm like, oh man, what are you doing?
Yeah, it makes Akari Press thing is a good idea. It's about branding. Thus you named your book Brand because you're very good at branding. So, and that's part of the marketing thing that, it's one of those things you got to learn and see what works and what doesn't. And
well, I know I follow you on Twitter. I think I follow you on Instagram as well, but I'm not sure. But that's one thing I'm surprised I've been successful on Instagram. I've managed to build almost 12,000 followers on my Instagram. So that's fantastic. That's groovy. And, hey.
Yeah, and I'll definitely, to those people who are interested in, I think the only overseas I actually heard from was Canada. So I'll definitely look at a tier for Canada. I'll do some research into that. And now that I've met my goal, I can throw that up there and get more people, hopefully.
Hey, that sounds good, brother. It's like, just make sure you tweet that out and make sure that people are informed and let them know. But all right, guys, we're going to get out of here. Again, thank you to Chael Roberts for joining me today. Please, please, please back Guardians of Erloth on Indiegogo. Again, that link is in the description, or of course, follow him on his social medias, and you'll be able to get that link there as well. But with that being said, I'm going to wrap this video up. And if you guys want to reach out to me, I'm on Facebook, Instagram, Twitter, and right here on this YouTube channel. Everywhere is at Akari Press. And if you type in akaripress.com, it will take you directly to my Indiegogo campaign for my comic book series brand with the phenomenal Kanan White. We're on Teespring. We're on Amazon.com. The links to those are in the description. Thank you guys so much for watching. I'm out.